You go hit the record button.
Good to
Here we
see
go.
you.
Now we're recording.
Good to see you.
And Jeffrey joining me. So Jeffrey, again, jump in and help, and we'll tag team it again, Jeff.
Yeah, one
Like
thing,
always.
Jose, that I'm on the template development committee, so we can talk about the ways that people can use the templates when you get to that point, and I might be able to offer some insight in that as well.
Perfect. Perfect. And I think we also, Jeffrey, we also have we also have some faculty members here who have used Brightspace or are using Brightspace in other
Right.
schools. Although it might look different when we get it here, when our instance is at FIT. But again, we can offer some faculty members who have some experience using it can chime in later on at the end of the
No, but I
presentation.
think that's great. And Jose, the bones are not that different from one school to the other.
Right.
And the demo space that we're using is not fully configured as it will be for FIT. So what you're really seeing is kind of the infrastructure and the flavor of the product.
Right.
And then we'll put it in the kitchen. Jose and I'll cook up something, real special.
But an excellent point that Jeffrey makes is, and that's what we're going to cover today, really the basics and the stuff that will not change, and kind of will carry over even though you're using at another school. These are really the basics. Let me post the link one more time to those slides. Feel free to make them your own if you want to copy them or keep them. There's a lot of good resources there that you can use if you're interested in looking further. Like the YouTube videos from Brightspace are there, a PDF. Actually, let me share my screen so we can start with my slides. Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah.
My screen,
See.
perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, just a little plug. We're doing this again Friday on April Fool's Day, Jeffrey, the 1st. Perfect day to do a Brightspace workshop. We'll pretend. Jeffrey, we could have done a joke. We could have said, "Hey, it's all a lie. We're not going to Brightspace." That would have been a bad April Fool's Day. Anyway, we're doing a second. Well, we're doing today the 29th, and then the April 1st is the second one, and then we're gonna do a deeper dive, more advanced topics will be Tuesday, April 5th, from 1 to 2, and then again Friday, April the 8th, from 1 to 2. This is the link to the website that you can actually just click on this button here, add to calendar. Thank you, Patricia, for giving me feedback. And this is a new thing we've added so that you can just simply click on add to calendar, and the event will automatically get added to your Google Calendar. So
No,
just simply
thank you,
click.
because that is such a help.
Yeah, no, if you never mentioned that, I would never thought of it. But if you click here, add to calendar, it goes to your Google Calendar, and then also the link to that to the workshop. You can join that way. Here's some. Tammy was supposed to be here today. Unfortunately, she's off today, but I think she will join me again on Friday. And this is some of the things that she wanted to cover. Basically, at the end of Blackboard would be May 23rd, so that's an official date. So you can put that in your calendar. That would be the official last day of Blackboard, May 23rd. The pilot, and these dates seem to be official too, Jeffrey, right? The spring 23 is the pilot.
Yes.
And right.
I just
and
want to
Tandy,
say the end of Blackboard is May 23rd, 2023.
I should.
Thank you.
Not this month.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I missed.
This month.
Jeffrey, it's funny. We're carrying here 23 across the board. 23, the 23rd, the 20. So a lot of 23s here. So I did miss that out there. It should be May 23rd.
Just put it May 2023. And. By then we'll be teaching remotely again.
Tammy did mention that she will be sending out a form. If you're interested in being part of the pilot, you can complete the form and send it back to Tammy or Antonia. There's going to be approximately 100 courses on that pilot. So if you are interested, um, you will see an email come from Tammy or Antonia. So be on the lookout for that email if you're interested in participating in that pilot. Then we got the full migration happening on summer 2023. And that's basically the dates that we're looking at here. So there is some time for us to get acquainted with D2L. We're going to cover some basics today. I do want to talk about the difference between what is D2L and what is Brightspace. The company itself is called D2L, or Desire to Learn. They're based in Canada, and they've been around for around 20 years or so. You can visit their website by going to www.d2l.com if you want to learn more about who they are. Currently, we're part of the third cohort. The phase 3. We're on the phase 3. We're not early adopters. There are about 30 SUNY schools going in with early adopters. So we have some time to see what works, or if things fall apart, we can at least learn from those early adopters.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not going to be the first to jump in on D2L. So I think that's a good thing, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I actually think it would have been a huge mistake for us to go on the leading edge. We all have enough stress with what's going on, with our students and with the school. And I'll be candid with you because I'm on the committees that are working on the design of the space, that it's premature. So
Right.
these guys are really on the bleeding edge, not the leading edge. And so we're going to learn a lot. I was actually, didn't mean it to be funny, but I guess it is. They're anxious to get started, and there are 63 SUNY campuses, and 30 of them are in cohort 1 right now. By the
Right.
time we get it, we'll have a smooth transition with faculty having plenty of time to acclimate themselves, and for the students to transition as well. It'll be easier for the students, but it won't be so bad for the faculty either, right, Jose? You and I have done enough tests already to see that it's not that bad to move your content, right?
Yeah, and to Jeffrey's point, I think it was very smart of us and strategic to not be the early adopter. I think it's best to see how other SUNY schools adapt, and how faculty and students actually adapt to the new LMS. And I guess we can learn from learn from the mistakes and what they are doing on their end. And I think it's a good approach. Now, Brightspace is the name of the LMS. So just like how we had Blackboard was the name of our current LMS, so the company Desire to Learn, or D2L, but the name that we will go by as we go forward is Brightspace, is the name of the LMS, or the learning management system that we're going to be migrating to. As you all know, we've done a lot of training, in conjunction with the Center of Excellent Teaching. Jeffrey and I have done so many trainings since COVID, and going to the remote teaching. So I see this as a continuation of what we've been doing. I don't see it as, hey, we're starting from scratch. I feel Jeffrey and I have done so many workshops together and separately, but I see this as a continuation, because again, at the end of the day, this is still a tool. And so everything that we've learned from Blackboard, from pedagogy to the technology itself, we're carrying those skills over. So I don't feel we're starting from scratch. So I see it that way. Jeffrey, how do you feel? Any thoughts on that? How do you feel about the transitioning from what we've done already with the training and now to Brightspace? Oh, I think Jeffrey is away, but I will continue. Next slide.
When March of 2020 came, the the faculty were forced through no choice of anybody's to start working remotely. And so the result of that is that we now have faculty who have unilaterally better skills with Blackboard than at any time for the entire time at FIT.
Right.
And I think that you should feel confident that you're not going into some kind of foreign land when you do this. The trainings that Jose and I did were very fulfilling for us. But I would also say, and I know Jose and I have talked about this a lot, is that faculty now are so much more self-sufficient in what they do that they're really pushing the level of what we do at FIT higher because now their basics are established. So the only thing you have to understand is that whenever you go into a new environment, it's like visiting the Lower East Side for the first time on a Sunday. It takes like a bunch of visits before you can figure out where all the good stuff is. And D2L is very much like that, but it's also a very contemporary product, right? So it works better in today's technology. Jose, I'm sorry if I ran on there.
No. It's exactly true. I mean, and we'll show that today, how flexible Desire to Learn is, what new features does it bring to the table, how does it help us build upon what we already have learned during the remote teaching and all the trainings and all the workshops that we've done so far. So I hope that today's workshop you'll see that and understand where we're going and why we chose Brightspace. Here are some resources that you can go on your own, on your free time if you're interested in learning more about Brightspace. Here are some documentations or links that go directly to Brightspace website. Also check out their YouTube channel. They have they update their videos regularly, so you can check that out and subscribe to their channel. We also have our YouTube channel. If you're interested, you can subscribe to our channel too. All the workshops that we do get recorded, and we post them on our YouTube channel. And the last link is a document that I prepared for today. Feel free to also check that out. I created a cheat sheet in there of some terms or the taxonomy of the terms that we will cover today. So if you're interested, check that out too, because this will help you with navigating through Brightspace. And that's mostly what we're going to target today, is navigating through the Brightspace LMS. Now, not many people at FIT know, but we do already have a sandbox with Brightspace. And you all can actually go in there. And this is the link to that sandbox. And so if you're interested, if you prefer to follow along the workshop and also work on the sandbox, please do so if you want to do it that way. Or if you just want to pay attention to what I'm doing and just look over my shoulder, that's fine. But if you go to this link and you log in with your FIT credentials, you'll gain access to the Brightspace sandbox. Just be aware, just like Jeffrey and I mentioned earlier, that you're not going to see the FIT branding, and you're not going to see VoiceThread or Padlet yet, because again, this is just a temporary sandbox. This is not the instance that SUNY will get to us. So this is just a temporary sandbox for you to get acquainted with the learning management system. And it's just a place for you to go in and start playing and poking around. I highly recommend that you go in there and get yourself acquainted to how to navigate in the system and how to create items and activities, how to add videos, and some of those things we're going to cover today. And Jeffrey,
so the username and password for that is the one for FIT.
Correct. It'll be your FIT credentials. The same credentials you use to get into Blackboard will be the same.
I think,
so
Jose,
Jeffrey,
the big difference is that with Blackboard, everything works from top to bottom, And I'm very happy. Jose and I like the fact that you can work left to right
I do.
in the Brightspace environment, and it's not. It's more contemporary products do not depend on a navigation on the left-hand side, so that this way, whatever area you're working in, you'll always see. And Jose, you should probably bring it up, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna
you'll see that your options are always available to you to add things or pivot to other areas in ways that really make it much more fluid for both the faculty member and the student.
Jeffrey and Jose, if it meets with your approval, one of the most useful things that we have done since we broke down the prison bars of remote learning and into the classroom, still using
Touche.
Blackboard, is is what the homepage looks like that after we log in, that shows our 3, 4, 5 courses, and how do we email the entire class and send them static PDF lesson plans.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you some of those features today, Stan. That's a great question. Today, basically, I'm gonna keep it very basic, just to get everyone acquainted with how to navigate across the new LMS or Brightspace. I'm just gonna use Brightspace from now on. But I will on part 2 of the workshop following next week. We probably will go into more of that, Stan. And just today, I want to really just focus on navigating and just also building a learning sequence, let's say for a week of content. Um, but so yeah, so let's get into it right away. But so once you've logged in and you enter your FIT credentials, this is the home page of Brightspace. This is what you're going to see once you log in. It will look a little different than what mine looks like. Because I've had 3 courses. You're probably going to have a sample course with data, and then you're going to have an empty course shell for you to play with. This is like in the cooking shows, Jeffrey. They show you the turkey first, and you can take a look at how a course will look like with all the goodies in it, and then they give you one where it's just empty and they're just waiting for you to put in all the good stuff, all your course materials. I want to mention though real quick, this workshop will be about an hour or so, but I will stay for another hour after that till 3. So if anybody has any questions or has any questions, can stay till then. But here I want to show first the navigation menu in the top, and this is. Let me just go to that page real quick. Here we go. Okay, so this is what Brightspace refers to as the mini bar up here at the top. But let me go into a course first. Let me go into my empty course shell. Let's start with that. So I clicked on a course, and this is now I'm inside my D2L workshop course. And right here at the top, this is what D2L refers to as the mini bar up here. And the mini bar will always be present. Anywhere you are in Brightspace, this area, the mini bar, will always be present to you, right? So it doesn't matter if you're inside a folder of week 1 or week 2 or week 3, you will always have access to the mini bar. And the mini bar is from here all the way down to this area right here, right above this banner. Then we have the home page. Right, this is up here in the top left corner. This is the home page icon. So if you click on the home page, it'll take you back to the home. It's a little slow, but so it took us back to the landing page. So this will always take you back to the landing page. If I want to go back into my course, I can then select the course by clicking on the title of the course, and now I'm back into my course. Okay, so this is basically the mini bar, right? Now the home button is over here, and the content area will take you to the content area for this particular course. I don't have any materials yet. We're going to build some in a second. The next thing I want to show you is the course selector. And what this button allows you to do is if you click on it, it lets you jump from one course to the other. So this is a nice shortcut or a nice way to jump from one course to another course. Right? So these are 3 courses that I am the instructor, and I can easily jump from course to course by clicking on the course selector. It looks pretty much like the Google the Google button, the 9 little buttons in your Gmail, similar to that, but this is called the course selector. Then we have the message alerts, and in the message alerts, you basically get notified if you have any unread email or unread instant messages. This is where you would go to check for those messages, and you can click here, and then you can see your inbox. So let's do that. See, you get instant messages or emails. So this will turn orange with a little dot like this one if you have any messages that you haven't yet opened. Then we have the subscription alert, and that's this one right here. And this is great because in Blackboard, I don't think we had anything like this, Jeffrey, where if you get updates notifying you about new announcements, due dates,
Right.
or when an end date, or when grades are up. This will notify your students that there are updates available to them. So I like this a lot. So this is another upgrade, I think, from Blackboard. Then we have the updates alert, and that's this one here with the bell. It looks like the Liberty Bell, and it has a little orange dot letting me know that there is an update, right? And so here I have an update, and so I would click on that, and then you can see the update. But the updates alert notifies you about new and updated content. So if I do change something, and I'm in the class, the student can know that something has changed, new materials has been added to the course. And so this is where you would go and see what's new in the course, or what new material has been added. Then we have over here is your personal menu. I've already uploaded a picture, but you see it also has your name, my name next to it. So if you go to the personal menu, you click on that. This is Jeffrey. This is where we used to, what Jeffrey used to call, and I love the name Jeffrey, the evil eye. This is where you have access to what Jeffrey used to call the evil eye. And so they refer to as view as learner.
That's boring.
We should bring back the evil eye, Jeffrey, right? We should request for it.
I wanted to say that some of the features Jose pointing out were in Blackboard, but never functioned as reliably or as simply, as this. And, so what you're seeing is higher level accomplishment and success, in what's here.
Right, and not only that, but to add to Jeffrey's point is that also they made it easily accessible. Like these buttons or these updates are now right in your face. You don't have to go dig in deep and try to find where's my subscription for the discussion boards. I mean, everything is right here in the mini bar. So let's take a look at what you can do in the personal menu. So in the personal menu, and if you're following along, if you're actually are in Brightspace right now, I recommend if you can go in and go into your profile, you can go and update your photo, right? This is something you can easily do. And it's something that Jeffrey and I highly recommend because it makes your course human. If your students can actually see a photo of who you are, right on the Brightspace, it kind of humanizes your course, and they know that you are a human person, especially for online courses, because otherwise they'll never see you if in an online course, right? Unless you have videos and if you're doing your own lecture videos. But I highly recommend it. You simply go here and click. I've done it already, but you would just click on this box and just upload your picture, right? So very simple. You can do that. I can change my picture by clicking change picture. And then I just go to my computer and locate my photo and just upload it that way. You can also add a nickname. If you prefer to be called something else, you can just type in that nickname right here if that's something that you want to do. And I think this is going to be great for students as well if they want to be called a different name than what they've registered. This is a great way for students to put in their nicknames into Brightspace. They have a section here on social media or social networks. So I think this is great because now if you want your students to see or you want your students to follow you on social media, you can post your Twitter account or your LinkedIn account, and so you can do that here. And so you can I already put my Twitter feed, my Twitter account, and I also put my LinkedIn account. If you want to follow me, I can follow you right back. But this is where you would do that. This is where you would put the address to your LinkedIn account or your Twitter account. Then over here you have the contact information. This is the email address that you want your students to reach you, right? If you're comfortable with putting your phone number, you can do so, and you can put your phone number there. I know there are some faculty who do that. If that's what you want to do, you can put your phone number here, and that's how your students can communicate with you over the phone. Here we have education and work. So again, this is almost like an about me, right? If you want to put a little bit about yourself, all your information, this is what we're doing here. So you can put a tagline, hobbies, favorite music, and so you can fill this up. None of this is required, so it's up to you to put in as much information as you want. Once you're done filling this out, you can just click Save and Close. And that will update your profile, right? So I'm just going to close this for now. So if you do have the sandbox open, you can do that. Go ahead and you can start updating your profile. Another thing I want to do is I want to show you. I know we at FIT are so it's important what we show in our courses. So if this banner doesn't, we don't want to teach to an empty classroom. This doesn't seem like a good picture. But this is an image coming in from the stock footage provided by Brightspace. So you can actually change this banner by clicking on the 3 little dots right over the banner. And then you can change the image. And they provide you images that you can select from here. But if you have an image that you want to use, you can just upload that image from your computer by clicking on Upload. And I have my image on my computer, but Brightspace comes along with a locker. You can upload your images and content to the locker and then use that to reference your content. In this case, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to upload from my computer. And then I click on Upload. And let's see what I have. I have this one background that I think will be nice. It'll be appropriate for FIT. So here we have some fabric, right? Let's say I want to make this more colorful. Then you can just upload your own image and create that as a banner.
Jose,
you can also,
Patrick asked a good question that I don't think we're going to give him a good answer on. But he's wondering if there's a way to download the profiles collectively of all the students. And I just did a quick check, and I don't think so. I think that those are just available when you are referring to a student. And I believe the profile pictures will show in most places so that you can go to their profiles to review. But I don't think there's a way to collectively download it, but we can definitely check.
Sure.
I'll be in a meeting this afternoon at SUNY that I could ask that question and get back to you, okay?
Thank you, Jeffrey. That's a good point. I don't know an answer to that also, but we did do a workshop on creating student profiles from an icebreaker. So Patrick, if you're interested in that, it's in our YouTube channel where we do an icebreaker, and then from the icebreaker we convert that into student profiles. But that's an
You could
alternative.
use Padlet, right, and make a PDF out of it too, and just have it handy on your desktop.
Exactly, Jeffrey. That's
That was a
exactly what we
commercial.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That's a great point. Okay, okay. Oh, real quick, you can also change the banner text, right? So over here, right below the image, you can also change that by clicking Customize Banner Text. Thank you, Patrick, for that question. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're learning along the way. Jeffrey and I are, again, we're not going to have all the answers right away, but we're doing our best. And so, you know, and we appreciate, and, you know, and Jeffrey and I learn a lot from the questions that faculty, you know, the questions that you guys bring up. So we really appreciate those questions. So, and we can learn from each other. That's always what we've been doing here with these workshops, is just so we all learn from each other. This is where you can actually type if you want to change the title, right? So I can easily say Jose and Jeffrey, you know. So, and that will update right away to the banner. So again, very intuitive, very straightforward. This is what I'm liking so far about Brightspace. Everything seems to be very within the reach. You don't have to dig in deep, and very intuitive, I feel, so far with this new LMS.
Jose, I just have a quick question. It's Robert. Going back to that control bar at the top, where you said they get notifications if you change something.
Yes.
But you know, can't that be a little annoying? I mean, do they get a notification every time you change something in a course, or do you have the option to, you know, like you make changes to courses all the time? I'm just curious if there's a control factor there.
They can control the frequency, and so can you. It's really a good idea in your course to suggest notifications that are cohesive with your pedagogy. And that helps to guide them on like how they could be notified once a day, for example, as opposed to every single time somebody does something. And also what they're being notified of. So it can be managed.
That's a great segue to, let me show you where you can do that, right? So that's a great question, Rob. So
much fun, Jose.
Yeah. Well, no, this is perfect. I mean, we're leading, you know, creating a pathway, right? So right here at the top, Rob, under your name, you would have this drop-down menu, and this is where the notifications are. And yes, it could be a problem if you have a professor who, you know, who is just dropping announcements left and right, and you know that's something that we talk about in our workshop is data dumps, right? Just depending on the announcement too much, and that could turn away your students. And you know, it's like every now and then this professor is sending me announcements, and by the first week I've already received 10 announcements. I'm not going to go check the announcements anymore because, you know, it's just a data dump. So that's one thing Jeffrey and I talk a lot about, is being careful how you use the announcements and how you notify your students, because your material should live inside Brightspace or the LMS. You shouldn't be posting, you know, very carefully on your announcements. It should be used carefully, right? But this is where, Rob, you would go to if you were getting too many notifications under your personal menu. Then you click on notifications, and then this page opens up, right? And this is where you control what do you want to receive and how often do you receive these notifications. The good thing about Brightspace is that it can compile all these notifications in a daily brief or a weekly brief. And then you can even choose, do you want to receive that brief as text messages or an email, right? And then you can choose, well, you know, I only want to get notified when there's a new announcement. So then you would just check that box, right? And so then you would choose what are the things you want to get notified. And as the semester goes along, you can update this depending the student can then update this based on your style of teaching. If you're heavy on announcements, they don't want to miss those, so they might want to get them as a text message, or as a or as an email. So you would have to register your phone to then be able to receive the text messages, and that's what SMS stands for. This means text messages, but the student will have to enter their phone number into Brightspace to then be able to receive those text messages. As you can see, I'm not able to click on this box until I register my phone. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Rob.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Not only notifications about content and assignments and notifications on announcements, but you can also get notified on your gradebook and the grades that you receive, right? So that's over here.
Yeah, Jose, I don't think you made it 100% clear when covering this that when you're controlling notifications, this is unilateral. This is for all your courses. And you can also choose to exclude a course completely just by going to manage my course exclusion. So let's just say you're helping another professor to teach a course, you're enrolled as an instructor, and it's driving you insane. You can just exclude that course from notifications so you don't get them at all. And that's a very nice thing. Hopefully they don't allow students to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Jeffrey, that when we get our instance, I know when you and I take a look at the back end, we'll be able to control more of those admin rights. So again, this is something that might change as we move forward. So, but again, I love the flexibility. I love the control that you have as an instructor and as a student. Also, by the way, I do want to mention that the mobile app is titled the Pulse app. I don't recommend you get it yet because we still don't have an instance, so you won't be able to log in. But keep an eye out for it. This is what it's called. You can get it on the iOS as well as on Android. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that there is an app that comes with Brightspace, and just to be aware that it does exist. And as Jeffrey and I, we're seeing it more and more often where students are moving towards using their mobile phones for everything. And so that's something you got to take into consideration as you're designing your course. And maybe even making sure that you mention in your syllabus and tell your students that not everything can be done on the mobile phone, and you might want to have a laptop to go to. But that's another conversation to have, beyond this workshop.
Can we require them only to have laptop or computer? Or is that...
Well, you can always mention on the syllabus, right, that like if you're to type a 500-word page essay on your mobile phone, might not be the best place for you to write a paper. You might want to be on a laptop and typing on a keyboard. These are things that Jeffrey and I are seeing more and more of as students are depending more on the mobile phone. But we could mention this on your syllabus and let them know that you're required to have a laptop for this course. You should be working on a laptop. Jeffrey, you want to mention anything about that, or should I continue?
No, please continue, sir.
Thank you. All right, so I think we got a good feel of the mini bar at the top. I do want to mention that this is the first thing that I noticed that blew me away. That when I started playing around with Brightspace, is the fact that they have sectioned off this area right here into little buckets, right? You got assignments, you have discussions, you have quizzes, etc. So if you are the type of teacher that likes to put things in buckets, they say, oh, here are all the assignments, you can get them here. Here are all the discussions, you can get them here. With Brightspace, if you design your course like we used to do in Blackboard, which is here, create a folder, and within that folder, you have 2 weeks of content, right? And we're going to do that today, actually, in a few minutes. And then you build 1 week of content in that one folder. that it gets also created, all that material, let's say the quizzes and discussions, also get put in buckets. So it's doing twice the work. You're creating a sequence for that 1 week or week one. And as you're adding all those activities, Brightspace is categorizing all those items into these buckets for you, so that if the student prefers to go into assignments and just see all the assignments in one shot, students can do that. But they can also see that sequence of activities for week one in a synchronous fashion from top to bottom or from left to right, how Jeffrey mentioned earlier. So I think that right away blew my mind, which I thought was great, because I remember when I would do when I do one-on-one sessions with faculty, I had some faculty members who prefer to put things into buckets, or there were some who preferred to do things in sequential order, where they want them to do the icebreaker first, then there's a reading assignment, then there is a discussion board, then there's a quiz. So Brightspace will do this for you. And so I love that right away when I saw that, Jeffrey. When I saw this, that
Yes.
that is a great feature. You want to talk about that, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I do. I want to add something about this. First of all, the quiz generator is far more fun and easy to use than the bag of broken nails that you get with the quiz in Blackboard. The discussions also are much more user friendly. I also want them to know, for those of you who remember Angel, you may remember when you opened up a course, you had the option to choose a configuration, and being prepared for you, and you should see them when you go on your home page. Jose, if you go back to the home page where there's no course yet, where the courses are listed. It's funny. I'm not seeing the template show up here yet. But there will be templates that will show up that you can use. Maybe just open up the empty course shell, because we're still working on this, guys. But there's going to be an option for an asynchronous template. So there's a outline with like the 7 modules, for example, already pre-built. They're also working on hybrid and conventional face-to-face course templates that are configured to actually ease your setup. And Jose, maybe when you go deeper in the other one, we can just go through those quickly.
Sure.
But you will not. Jose is showing you what I recommend is that once you understand Brightspace, you may want to build your course completely over from what you have in Blackboard, because that will optimize your use of Brightspace. However, when you import your Blackboard course, and Jose and I have done this a few times, it's not that difficult, but it does take attention to convert your course into Brightspace. So it's important to know you have these configurations that you can work with that are pre-formatted for your ease. It's also important to know that if you pick a template, Marianne, that you can also edit it, that once you adopt it into your course, you can do whatever the heck you want to it. So it's just giving you a foundation, right?
Right.
And, it's kind of like renting a house where you move the furniture around any way you want, So, and the rent is free here, so you can do whatever you want.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Another crazy metaphor. Jose, I'm sorry. Hope that helped.
Thank you, Jeffrey. So let's create.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
I do
Go
have
ahead,
a question, which talk about assignments and buckets. Let's say I have week one. Week one is configured as a folder. It contains some lesson plans that are high-res PDFs, and it contains some dialogue. That is a folder. Do I go to assignments and drop that folder in that says week one?
So this is what we're going to do now. We're going to do this now, Stan. I'm going to create some content for, let's say, our week one. Thank you for, that's a perfect segue, Stan. Thank you for that. But before we create the content, let me just show you real quick on how to create an announcement before we jump into folders and creating a week one. Real quickly, announcements. All right. So another great feature with Brightspace, it's that, again, we talked about how to humanize your course experience for your students, is that Brightspace makes it very easy for you to, first let me say a welcome message. Brightspace makes it very, very easy for you to come in here and just add your, a blurb or whatever it is you want to say. Welcome students to the course. I'm looking forward to meeting you all. Something like that, right? It's again very similar to Blackboard, where you can just, always show start date. You can put the beginning date, when this announcement goes out, when does it go away. You can attach files. Now this is the beautiful part, like, of humanizing your courses. You can actually record a video. If you don't want to do text and you want to make this much more personal, Blackboard, Brightspace, I gotta get used to this now, Jeffrey. Brightspace allows you to record the video or the audio. Not only allows you to record the audio and video, it will caption it for you. It will caption your video or audio for you. And this, again, now your students can hear your voice. They can connect your voice to your face. Again, humanizes the experience for an online course, makes it much better for the students to understand, especially if it's English is not the first language. They can then turn on the captions and follow you along. And there's no lost in translation. Sometimes when we write in text, things are lost in translation. But with video, they can see your face and they can see what you really mean and understand you better. Again, trying to imitate that face-to-face human connection like you would have in a face-to-face class. So that could be done here in record audio or record video, and then you would just publish your announcement. So now let's go to the juicy part that Stan is what Stan just referred to.
Before we get juicy, does that create an announcement automatically go to their email? Is that the same as email everyone, or must they go into the shell and seek out announcements?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, that will show up as soon as you log into the course. And actually, you know what, Stan, let me just jump out so I can show you how that actually looks like. If I go, and this is available to everyone if you log in to the sandbox. If you go here to the sample course with data, you will see the full turkey baked, right? This is a turkey that's already been created out of the oven, and you can see how you're referring to the folders, right? Here you have a welcome announcement. Here you have Unit 1. Here you have Unit 2, Unit 3, and your last day of class, right? So, Stan, this is how I'm going to try to build something now and try to imitate this kind of format. And this is how the announcement will show when the student logs into the course. Also, again, we talked about notifications. If the students turn off all notifications, it might not go to their phones or their emails. So again, that's something that the user controls notification announcements, right? So you will control that. You also have a calendar here, which will be great. I know Blackboard had a calendar, but I didn't see many people using it. It wasn't that intuitive. It was a little bit confusing, but this calendar seems much easier to use, and that would be something more advanced I'm not going to cover here. But again, Stan, just to show you how a course that has been built with the folder structure built out, this is how something will look like. And if you click on welcome, then that goes into that welcome folder, and that's how you can see what's inside welcome. And this can be, here's the orientation checklist, right? So here you can have things that you need to do before the class starts, right? So you can create a checklist of things that need to be done. And as you do this, Brightspace will check off that you have done this, which will be great for students to keep track of what they've done and what they haven't yet done. And to refer back to what Jeffrey mentioned, we talked about moving from left to right. This is where you navigate. This is how students will navigate from left to right. If you're done with the checklist, then you can just click on the right arrow and you move on to the next item. Now here is something about that you will receive a grade alert if you drop below 80%, right? And so, and then you can, and then the student will move on from left to right. Here's a video, right? You can add videos, and we're going to cover that in a second. I'm going to show you how to add a video. And so you move from left to right, and you can also go backwards by going, going back or forward. But you see, this is the structure of how the course will look like. Now, Stan, I mentioned this is the structure, but if you're only interested in seeing the assignments, you can go to the assignment bucket and click on the assignment bucket at the mini bar at the top, and now you see all the assignments in one shot, right? So you get to see it from up here as buckets. Like if I
How
want
were
to see
they uploaded? How were the assignments uploaded?
Yes, so okay, so let's move on to that. Let's build some stuff. Okay, so Stan, you're pushing me in the right way. So I just wanted to show you how it will look like when it's built, a course that has been built. And you can see it from the structure level as well as the buckets that contain assignments, discussions, and quizzes separately. So let's go back to the home page, and then I'm going to go into my shell, my empty course shell, so I can start building. And by the way, you all have access to this. Practice, practice, practice. Play around, and don't be afraid to break anything. That's the whole purpose of this sandbox, is for you to go in there and experiment. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is create some content. It's right here. It tells you there is no content.
And
We currently don't have any content right now. So if you click create some content
on your own time on the shadow site, and then we can talk next week. Okay.
Okay, Stan, now this is where you create that folder. I know they use a module terminology, but this is where the folder will be created. So if we call this unit 1, because remember what we use is every unit has 2 weeks of content. That's the way that we have it structured with the Oscar rubric, the SUNY Oscar rubric. So if I call this unit 1, I just added unit 1 folder, right? So if I want to add unit 2, I just go back here, add a module, and now I'm going to add unit 2. This can also be done weekly if you prefer to use week 1, week 2, week 3, or whatever that method you want to use. But here on the left-hand side, Stan, you see table of contents. Now you can see that we have now a unit 1 folder and a unit 2 folder. If I want to go into unit 1, now I can add a submodule. Now this is a subfolder within unit 1. So let's say I want to call this week 1. Now you see the hierarchy, Stan. We have unit 1, but then we also have, under unit 1, we have week 1. And you see the indentation of that to indicate that week 1 is inside unit 1.
Can't we simply name each unit week 1, week 2, week 3?
Correct. We can do that if you prefer. Yes, if you prefer doing that way, that's fine too. I'm just showing you how you can build a hierarchy. I don't suggest going 2 levels in or 2 levels up. I don't go further than 2 levels, meaning 2 folders, 1 folder within a subfolder within a folder. That's no more than 2.
Exactly.
I'm just showing you how.
I would use one folder, and within that one first layer is all the content. There's text, and
that's fine.
Plans. Can we do that?
Sure. I'm just showing you how you can also do it as a subfolder. But yes, Stan, you're correct. If you just want to do 1 folder, and within that 1 folder have 1 week of content, that's fine.
But there's also an accommodation there for people who are not treating modules like it's every week, but instead like it's a zone in the course, right? So you might say for module 1, the first week is going to be this, the second week is going to be that, and the third week is going to be that. And then they move on to module 2. So there's, it's really all about accommodating different strategies. So if you want to do what Stan's doing and just have module 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, that's fine. But it does allow, there are people who do many large projects that have stages within them. And this is a great way to build that hierarchy. So it covers both sides.
Thank you,
Right.
and I apologize for excluding those people that do have multiple weeks within a single project.
You know, it's too late, Stan. The damage is already done.
Well, the other good point Jeffrey mentions is chunking, right? You don't want to have too much material that it looks like it's taking forever, and it's, you know, students lose motivation when they see a long list of 20 items I have to do, and it really means the whole semester. So chunking things into weeks helps them digest the material for that week, and so that's one way. All right, so let's jump into week one. All right, and start creating week one. As you can see, the table of contents, this is where you're going to be navigating and jumping in by clicking on that folder, right? So I'm inside week one right now. And you can tell that you're in week one because up here, just like Blackboard, very similar, it'll tell you in a large font that this is week one, right? Similar to Blackboard, you also have the down arrow, right? These are the settings for week one. And I found this to be a little bit confusing as I've been familiarizing myself with Brightspace, is that this is where you find the delete module. This is where you can delete content. So I had to get used to that. That was different for me. And finding it was a little bit, it took me a while until I got used to it. But if you want to completely remove that folder, you actually have to click on the little down arrow and then click delete module. So you have to get used to that. Okay, so let's create some content for week one. And so we're going to build a learning sequence. And, you know, at FIT, we follow the Cornell rule. For every credit, there's 3 hours of work per week. So if you have a 3-credit course, usually it's around 9 hours of, you know, work that usually the student will have for that course per week. So let's create a learning sequence for week one. And so let's do an icebreaker first, right? So if you click on this button right here, upload, create, that's where you, right here, upload and create. This is similar to Blackboard, where you have the build content. So this will give you the drop down with all the different types of activities or things that you can add to that, to this week. So for example, you can upload a PDF document, video or audio, links to, let's say, you know, news articles that you want your students to read. This is what that would be. Assignments, right? You want to do a Dropbox assignment. It's right here. A new discussion, a checklist, a quiz. So there's a lot of things here that I want you all to play with when you go into the sandbox. So let's create the first thing. Let's upload a PDF, which is most commonly used. We'll be uploading a PDF. So you go to upload files. And I have something on my computer that I want to upload. Again, remember, you can also upload directly to the to Brightspace, and then you can connect it through your locker, which saves in Brightspace. But in this case, I'm keeping it very simple. I'm uploading a PDF from my computer, and I have a PDF ready, and it's the Brightspace instructor guide. So I'm going to upload a PDF. Notice that there is a limit of 2 gigabytes, which I doubt many people might have an issue with that. I don't know, Jeffrey, but 2 gigs is the maximum upload size of a file. I don't know if this will change when we get our own instance, but again, this is something we'll keep an eye on for you. The next thing is you have to click add.
Is that maybe just the training maximum for training?
Right. That's what I just mentioned. Yes, Rob. It might be just for the training. We'll keep an eye on it to see if it will change.
Because how large is how large is like a 36-page slide presentation?
Oh, that would be less than maybe 5 megabytes. It shouldn't be 2 gigs. 2 gigs is a lot of information.
Okay. I just never understand those numbers. Okay, thank you.
No, we'll keep an eye on it for you, Rob, and we'll see once we get the instance if there are any limitations to uploads.
Thank you.
Sure. No, thank you for the question. So as you can see, we've added a PDF. So let's continue building, right? So now I have my first item. Again, this is your building items as you're teaching your course in the sequential order. A learning sequence is basically that, right? So let's say that they're going to read this PDF, but then we want them to do a discussion thread based on that reading material. So then we'll build a new discussion. All right, and so let's give it a title here. Let's call this discussion on reading assignment.
I was going to call it Tuesday with Jose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tuesday with Jose and Jeffrey. Well, we could do that. You know, let me Tuesday. Right.
Or J and J, like P and J. Ha ha ha.
Oh, J and J. I like that too. So here you have to create the new forum, right? That doesn't exist yet, so you have to create the new forum. And so again, you know, we can call it, you know, week 1. Oh, yeah, we'll give it a quick name. And here again, you're the WYSIWYG. This is what we call the WYSIWYG, and there's a lot of good things here, very similar to the Blackboard WYSIWYG. You can bold, italicize. I mean, there's everything here from even the embed. This is my favorite button, right? The embed source code. So, right. So here you can add embeds, you know, to this discussion. You can add images, right? If I want to put an image in here, I can just upload the image. Here's an image. So again, very similar to Blackboard. What I do love is that with Brightspace, it doesn't let you go forward until you add alternative text to make this ADA compliant, right? So this image that you're adding is decorative. There is nothing really that students will miss out. You can just make this decorative, and the screen reader will identify the image as a decorative image. But you can also put here a brief description of what the image is. So if I say this image, this is an image of colorful fabrics. That will allow the student, if the student is using a screen reader, the screen reader will then read to the student that this is a colorful fabric, so they don't miss out. So here we go. That's the first discussion, right? So I click save, and we added an image to the discussion. And from here now, this is very important because it could be a little tricky. Right now, it's hidden because the eye has a strike across it. But if you want to make it visible, you have to toggle it to the eye without the strike. So be aware of what's visible and what's not visible, and just play around with this a little more. Not only that, but revisit the evil eye at the top so that you can look at your course as a student, so that you know what the student can see and what they cannot see, so that you can make it visible to your student. Okay?
These parameters are exclusive to discussions, is that right? The parameters of visibility and text and compliance?
Right. Right now, we're only looking at the parameters for just a discussion. So this is what we're looking at right here below. These are the parameters similar to Blackboard. When you create a discussion, then you do the settings, and the parameters are right here. I'm not going to go into learning objectives, but this is another amazing feature that Brightspace has that allows you to connect your learning objectives to your course design. But I'm not going to touch that here. This is awesome because it tells you who completed the assignment, right? So just as a snapshot view, in a nutshell, you can see who did the work and who didn't do the work right away. You don't have to go into the gradebook. You can just see from the assignment, straight up from the assignment, you can see who did it and who didn't do the work. So that's a nice tab to look at, completion right here. Who completed it, who is still incomplete or exempt. So that's also nice to play with. But we want to add a grade, right? We don't want to give away any free discussions because, again, we know that we have to attach a grade to these items. So here, if you click add a grade, this will now allow you to grade this discussion out of 100. But this could be incomplete or complete, right? So it lets you. It's very flexible, right? Of how you want to grade things. You can add also rubrics to this, but we're not going to talk. That's a little bit more advanced. I don't want to talk about rubrics, but you can attach rubrics similar to how Blackboard allowed you to do that. And here you can control how the grade item goes into the gradebook, right? So if you want to give it a name, right, we can call this week 1 discussion. If you want to put it into a category, and this is a little bit more advanced, we're not going to talk about this, but if you were a pro in Blackboard using the gradebook, you remember that you could put things in categories, right, in the discussion category. But I'm not going to talk too much about that. And then you can give a description and the point value, right? So this can all be done directly from the assignment. And then you click create. Again, I don't want to go deep into the gradebook. I meant this workshop to be very basic. That's really how you set the parameters for a discussion, very straightforward. You can add the dates and restrictions, right? So here you would add, when does this discussion start? When does it end? When is the due date, right? Do you want to add an exception, right, to a student? Do you have a fittable student that you might have to add extra time? You do this in the exceptions. Very similar to Blackboard. It doesn't change.
Jose, like in Blackboard, if we leave the start date and the end date blank, does it live in perpetuity?
Yes, if you do leave it, it will open automatically the date that you. Is that your question, Stan?
Yes, if we leave the due date blank or the end date blank,
oh,
does
yes,
it just stay on all the time for their availability?
Correct, right. As long as you make it visible, this is going to be a little. I feel that the faculty might stumble because could be a little, this could easily be missed. So make sure that it's set to visible with the eye without the
that's
stripe.
like the Blackboard available assignment is available or not available.
Right. That's a good point. Right. But again, also, Patricia, we got to make a good, practice, make it a good habit to go as a learner right here, view as learner, because it happens to all of us. I've forgotten to make something visible. And then I hear from the students like, Professor, the video is not available in week 1. Then oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. But if you do like Stan says, if you make these programs scheduled to open, that makes it also easier for you it will open, right, for you automatically. So again, play with this. I can only tell you to go in there and really get your hands dirty and play with it, because the more, right? Because the more you play with it, the better you will get at it. Let's build an assignment. Yes,
at another school, when they transferred from one LMS to another, you were able to, let's say, if you have a Blackboard course and you want to transfer it, can you transfer it into Brightspace? Are we going to be able to do that?
Yes, that's an excellent question. Yes, Patricia, that's an excellent question. I already did that. I was the first thing I think I did once we got the because hey, I didn't want to lose all my Blackboard courses. I didn't want to lose all that content. So that is doable, and we're going to talk more about that in the advanced workshop, because that is a little bit more advanced. But one thing I do want to say, Patricia, is that we were told that Brightspace will take care of the migrating of the courses, but I'm always careful, and I archive all my courses and I want to have my own copy in case something goes wrong. If something doesn't get transferred over correctly, I highly, highly recommend that you go into your Blackboard course, archive everything possible, and we do have tutorials on how to archive your material, your courses. And then what I would do then after you archive your course, download that zip file, put it in somewhere, your thumb drive or Google Drive, because again, you never know when migration, something might go wrong and then you might lose. We are going to back up, many as much as we can, but I always like to have things on my, take care of things on my own and have my own copy, just because. And your second question, Patricia, is yes, you can migrate from Brightspace to Brightspace, from Brightspace to Blackboard, from Blackboard to Brightspace. You can migrate from Canvas, from all different types of LMSs. You're able to migrate that package and import it into another school. Yes, you can do that. That's a little bit above what this workshop is about, but to answer your question is yes, but it's a great point. But again, archive your work. Just do it, because I think it's best to have your material, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your course. You don't want something to disappear and you're like, oh no, what happened?
Jose?
Yes, Jeff?
You make a very good point, and I think that what you want to do is when the time comes, or before the time comes, archive your older courses that have content that are of value to you, potentially, and when you archive them, download them and store them on your hard drive, and just keep them in a safe place, because it's not unusual to want to go back a year or two sometimes to find something.
Yes.
And so, do the old belt and suspenders routine, because there will be a time when Blackboard will no longer be an active LMS. That doesn't mean that the old courses aren't available, but it will become more complicated. But I also want to say, don't be a hoarder, because most of the time when we save every damn thing we have, we never get back to anything, so just really think about the value of recent content.
Right. Also,
Yeah,
when you
I have some file cabinets in my office you can have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so seriously speaking, there will be overlap between Brightspace and Blackboard.
Yes.
Yes, there is an overlap. We will be paying for both at one point where it will be an overlap. But then again, May 23rd is not, May 23rd,
2023.
That's the one in my calendar. I already have it there. So,
but 2023, so it's a year away. So you have a year to do all the archiving of Blackboard materials. Yeah.
Jose.
Yes, Rob.
That button you were showing us when you were building content, I think it's going to be important, because Blackboard defaults that it's available. When you build content in Blackboard, the default is it's available. Only when you make it unavailable. So none of us have been making things available from the get-go. It's kind of automatic.
Right.
So we're going to have to make sure to watch that button as we build things, is all I can say.
Exactly, and that's why I brought it up, because
you did.
It can easily be missed, and that's why but we'll see. Maybe Jeffrey and I, as we get our instance, we'll have a peek at the back end, at the admin panel, and maybe we can make things. I don't know. We don't know yet. As we're just moving forward and trying to make sure that we cover all our corners. But I see that.
Don't get too far ahead of yourself, because there's a lot of things we have to do about controlling the properties of our instance. But because we don't have, and by instance we mean the part of Brightspace that is for FIT, by FIT, and managed by FIT. Right now, you're in the SUNY soup. Okay, so it's just everybody in SUNY can access this instance that you're looking at now. So it's kind of like Penn Station on December 22nd.
Right. But you know what? We invite you to swim in the soup. We invite you and play around with it and do as much as you can in that SUNY soup, because that's where you're going to get that's where you're going to find out if the soup is too salty and you need to add more salt or whatever. And that's where, that's how we're going to know what needs to be done. And Jeffrey and I can later on get a better picture of where we are. But let me move along real quick. But that's an excellent point, Rob. Again, making sure, making sure that students can see what you want them to see. Always remember that you as a learner, whenever you make any changes to your course, go back as a student and look at your course before you close out and end the day. Make sure you look at your course from the student's perspective. Very important. Okay, let's add a video because videos are so cool, right? Especially for online classes, we love videos. So let me just add a quick video here. I'm going to YouTube. Let me show you real quick. Here's a video, right? I'm going to copy the link to the video. This is one of the past workshops.
Awesome.
From the people from Brightspace. So with Brightspace, they make it very easy for you to add video from YouTube or from Screencast-O-Matic. So all you really have to do is make sure that you have a video and you know the video that you want to use, whether it's on YouTube or Screencast-O-Matic. Then what you do is you just come down here to the build button. Remember, this is similar to Blackboard. Upload, create. And then you go to where it says video or audio. Now this is interesting because this is another great feature with Brightspace that we didn't have in Blackboard. Right away, it just tells you, hey, you want to add a video? Fine, put the link or the embed code, you get it. It'll do the rest for you, right? So if I go back to my video here and I just click share, copy the link, and I just plop it in there, Brightspace will do the rest for you, and that's it. Call it a day. Now, I really want to hide this, but I have to cover it. But we don't like to upload videos directly to Blackboard or Brightspace. We talked about this in several workshops. Those are standalone videos. The reason why we don't like uploading directly to Brightspace or Blackboard is because if you upload a video, it will not get captioned. Brightspace will not caption that video for you. Therefore, it is not ADA compliant. We want to make sure that any video that you post in your course has captions. So don't go here, don't go to upload, please, because then those videos, if you upload an MP4 or an MOV file, Brightspace will not caption that video for you. Please go through YouTube or Screencast-O-Matic so that those videos will have captions. Okay, that was my little rant on accessibility. So once we have the link to the video, you'll see a preview of the video right away. Just click save. And look at that, we're building our learning sequence for week 1. We already have, now we got a video up there. Again, we can change visibilities right here again. You can, there it's off, now it's on. Again, if you do require automatic, this will, Brightspace will check it off that the student watched it, right? So if it's a required activity that you want them to do, leave it as required. But if it's not required, you can click on the little down arrow, make it not required, right? So this is amazing. I love this feature because now students will keep track of what is required, what they have done, and what is not required. Here you can add a description, and here you can also add release dates. When does the video become available, when it opens, when it closes. And this is a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to go into this, but these are conditions, right? So if the student does the icebreaker first, then this will open, but I'm not going to go into that. This is how you can control what the student will see and will not see from here. Again, you have the learning objectives here. You can link your learning objectives to the video. And then completion summary. Once again, you can see which students watched the video, who didn't. You can see that all from here. So this is great. All right, so let's go build something. Let's build one more thing. Let's build a quiz, and we'll call it a day, I think. And then we'll open up for questions. Real quick, I'm going to do a little quiz. Oh, by the way, I should have shown you the breadcrumbs, but I'll do that later. So here, let's build a quiz now. So we go back to week 1, and here we go, new quiz. And let's call this week 1 quiz. And here you can put instructions for the quiz. Then you click save. All right, so now here you got the dates, visibility, right? You want to turn it on, let's turn it on for now. It's required, right? How many attempts? Do you want to give them multiple attempts at the quiz? Learning objectives are here, completion summary is there. And then you go to quiz setup. This is where you add the questions. Right? So here it is, week 1. So here we're going to add questions right here. This area right here is for the gradebook. This is what the column is going to be titled, week 1 quiz. Do you want to put it into a category? This will be probably in the quizzes category. Or you can create a category right here. This was not in Blackboard. This you had to dig in deep to find where to add categories. So that, again, Brightspace makes it very easy for you to attach or to connect an item to a category directly from the setup. Here, let's add some questions. Let's do a true and false and a multiple choice, and then we'll move on to an assignment, and then we'll stop there. This is for a future workshop, more advanced. If you have, let's say, 100-question quiz, you can actually import, batch, upload all the questions in one shot instead of having to create each question manually, one at a time. But this is more advanced. We're not going to touch that right now. Here, I'm going to create my first question. So I go to new question. Let's do a true and false. Are we having fun today? Right, so we'll do a true and false. So that's the first question. How many points is it? Let's say 5 points. We click save. On the right-hand side, you have a preview of how that question will look like for your students. And we also have options. If you want to add feedback, add a hint, short description, or add enumeration, you can do that from the options. If you change your mind, you can come back here and switch the question type. This is something that was not in Blackboard. You had to recreate the question if you were interested in a new file, in a new question type. This is a lot. It will save us a lot of time if you change your mind on the question type. This wasn't there before in Blackboard, so that's another item that's new in Brightspace. Okay, so let's click save. So we have our first question. Let's do a multiple choice question. Multiple choice. Let's do what color is the sky, which is what I always use for my examples. So let's do.
It depends on what city you live in.
That's true, Jeffrey. Or you might pollute it, right? Thank you, Patricia. I'm gonna put polluted, but you're right. You're right.
Although that's probably more to the point.
Oh, by the way, another awesome thing about Brightspace is the ease in which you can just drag things around. It's so easy just to move things anywhere by just dragging things. You know, again, that was limited in Blackboard. In Brightspace, you can almost move anything anywhere through drag and drop. We can randomize the order for every student. The order will change. Again, this is the preview right here on the right. Yeah. And here, let's make this 10 points and save. So again, very simple to create a quiz. I will not talk about sections and question pools. That's for an advanced workshop we'll talk about later. But this is very similar to in Blackboard, where we had a pool of questions, pooling questions from, let's say, 20 questions, pool 3. And so anyway, I don't want to go into that, but that's more advanced topic. So our quiz is ready. And let's go back to week 1 quiz. And save and close, right? So we're going to save and close this, and then we're going to do a Dropbox assignment, and we'll stop there because I think we already covered a lot. So this is what I wanted to draw your attention to. This is very similar to Blackboard. Remember, this is the breadcrumbs. It's a little too small for me, Jeffrey. I don't know what you think, but it's there, right? It's you can just navigate through the breadcrumbs, similar
It's mouse type.
is my mouse type. Um, again, I know, maybe a little bigger. Again, this is something we have to look. Jeffrey and I will look at maybe when we get
I'll
access
say
to
just
the
do
app.
Command Plus so they can see it a little better.
Everyone see that?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, this is something that I feel is too small, especially if students are using their mobile phones, which is very common. And then to see something so small on a phone, oh my gosh, I don't know how they're. Anyway, let's move forward.
I'll ask about that, Jose, also.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Real quick, let's do a Dropbox assignment because I know everybody's thinking about, hey, how do we do Dropbox? That's something that was when we went remote. Dropbox was one of the tools that faculty loved because pre-remote, many faculty were taking in papers, and doing it that way was a little bit tough. And when we introduced the idea that, hey, you can create an assignment, have students submit their submission digital submissions, either through Google Drive or Google Slides, it saves you a lot of time. So let's show you how to create an assignment. Okay, so let's go back into week 1, right? Because this is where we're building. So make sure you know where you are in the breadcrumbs. Also remember that Brightspace right at the top tells you where you are. So we're currently in week 1. You can see it here. And then we're moving down, right, from top to bottom. And so now I'm going to add by going to Upload, Create. And then we're going to do a new assignment right here. Okay. And let's call this homework number 1. Or week one homework. Right? So here again, you get the choice. You can keep it ungraded or graded. Let's say we're going to grade this out of 100. Going into the grade book, right? Or you don't want it to go into the grade book. You get your choice, right? Link it or not.
Can I just add, Jose?
Sure.
It's great pedagogically to have some assignments that could be graded but not calculated into the final grade. So that way the students get a chance to get feedback without necessarily being penalized for bad performance. And that formative feedback can be a very positive way to help grow your students into the types of concepts you want to explore, especially in the first few weeks, right? When they're really getting a feel for who you are and you for them.
But if you're allowing unlimited attempts, so you grade the first one, but tell them it's unlimited attempts, and therefore you can better your grade. Wouldn't that serve the same purpose, or does it in this?
Well, the thing is that's another approach where you could even grade each attempt and give them the average of it. So those are options.
Or the highest, really or the highest one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of choices there, but sometimes it's good for them just for you to be able to say, you know what it is, we're combating grade inflation, Patricia. So if you're giving them an assignment and they genuinely earned a C, and you're worried that you're getting observed or evaluated next week, it's great to be able to say to a student, this assignment is at a C level, quote your syllabus about what a C means, and give them helpful feedback to improve. And at the same time, then the next one that's really graded, they will know that you are grading appropriately and not out of fear.
Right.
All that is very helpful, but the sequence of learning has been broken. Maybe can we go back to content and do that from start?
Sure. We're going to go in a second. I just want to, Stan, that's a great point. I want to create and show the assignment first, and then we'll jump back into the learning sequence. A little plug on what Jeffrey mentioned. We did a workshop, Jeffrey and I, on just that. If you're interested in checking out active learning, and we do talk about formative assessments and what are formative assessments, what are summative assessments. But that's a great topic. If you're interested, check that out. Jeffrey and I do that workshop. But real quick, Stan, let me just complete this assignment, and then we'll jump back into the learning sequence. Here is the due date, right? If we want to make, let's say, April, usually Fridays, right? We usually have end of the day, right? April the 1st, 11:59, end of day. Here's here's the WYSIWYG. Here you can just put in your instructions, right? But again, make use of audio recording, video recording. Again, this is something we did not have we kind of had it, but it was hidden somewhere in Blackboard. But to humanize your course, again, you can, instead of writing it, say it, and it might come across better to your students by saying it instead of typing it in.
Is this where we might use a screencast-o-matic? Will it allow that?
Well, you can use screencast-o-matic, but with Brightspace, you have it here at your fingertips. If you don't want to open up screencast-o-matic, there you go.
But
again,
if you already have one.
Yes, yes. Again, you won't be able to edit your video that much, from here. But if this is a quick video that you want to create, you can just do it from right here.
Okay.
Now, this is awesome right here. You can upload files, attachments. But look, you can also, Google Drive is here. So you can attach files from Google Drive or from OneDrive. So that's another way. Let's see the settings real quick on the right-hand side over here. Availability. When is this assignment becomes available? Currently, right now, is always available. But if I wanted to start on a certain day, I can go into the calendar feature, choose the date of when this becomes available. When does it close? Right, so I can just choose a date. And you can add conditions. When does this release? This is a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to do this. And then you also can have special access, right, for particular students who should only be seeing this. I'm not going to cover that. But this is, Patricia, to your point, this is where you can control whether it's a formative assessment, right? Yeah. And then you can say, you can make it into an individual assignment, a group assignment. This is really cool because then you can control the submission type. Do you want it to be a text submission, or it has to be a paper submission, or observed in person? We didn't have this in Blackboard, right? If you do one file, then they just got one shot. If you have unlimited files allowed per submission, then they only can upload one file. This is the restrictions. If you don't want students sending you some funky files that you don't want to open and you're afraid to open on your computer, you can say to your students, I'm only accepting PDF files. Right? Or it could be or you can do custom file types, and you can say, well, I'm only accepting docx files, Microsoft Word.
Oh, that's a great question, which I don't remember. Blackboard will only allow doc and docx and not pages. So on the bottom of how many different things, I keep on putting that in there, with a navy blue background and white, and throughout the whole syllabus and throughout each one of the units. But people still will keep sending pages.
Exactly.
What does Brightspace?
It will filter. It will filter. If you say only PowerPoint, then student can only allow PowerPoint. To your question, Patricia, on the slide that has resources, there is a manual. The Brightspace manual does indicate which file types are accepted by Brightspace. I don't have it on me right now, but since I'm running a little behind time, but I can also email you where in the document, in the manual.
No, that's okay. I'll look at it.
Sure. So in this case, I'm just going to restrict it to PDFs. Let's say I only want, or maybe files that can be annotated on, right? So if you're big on marking up the submission paper, make sure that these files allow for annotation.
Yeah, that's great.
So that would be right. So that's how
Right.
you would do it. You can control. This was not available in Blackboard, which is so good to have this feature. This is going to Patricia's question. Do you want to allow all submissions to be kept or only one submission, right? And this is where you can control, or the most recent, right? So if you allow for revisions, but you only want to keep the last most recent, then you can select it, this setting. If you want to get alerted, a notification email, again, Brightspace gives you the opportunity to type in a separate email address. If you have a personal email, you can also have a personal email. Again, I'm not sure how that will work once we get the instance. I'm not going to go into too much on that, but you can actually type in an email address to get notified once it gets submitted. This will be the rubric. I'm going to skip that for now. This is where you would add evaluation and feedback. But again, that's where you can attach a rubric to the assignment. Okay, so now going back to Stan, right? So let's go back. Stan wants to look at the learning sequence. So we're done our Dropbox assignment. So we're going to click, and look at the bottom. It also tells you it's visible. It's on. Visibility is it's right here. So I'm going to choose Save and Close, and we're going to go back now to the learning sequence for week 1. Again, here are your breadcrumbs at the top. So I want to go back into week 1. Let me make that a little bigger, sorry. Here's the breadcrumbs. And so here is week 1. So we're going to go into week 1. And here we are. This is the learning sequence for week 1. And we're going like vertical from top to bottom. So Stan, here we are. We are in the learning sequence, right? Now, remember we mentioned that Brightspace is very flexible. If you change your mind, if you want the quiz to go at the end, simply drag it and put it at the end, right? And so we dropped it to the bottom. So you can move things around by left click on these little dots to the left of the title and drag to where you want to put the item. And so let's see this as a student. That was your question, Stan? You wanted to see the learning sequence as a student?
You may continue, thanks.
Perfect, thank you, Stan. So here we go. So remember, it's on your personal menu at the top right. And then we're going to go view as learner. Okay, so now we're in the class and we're seeing this class as a learner would see it. Here you would see the announcements, which I didn't save, the announcement that we created, so there is none right now. But here at the left-hand side, it tells me the table of contents, and here we have our 2 folders. And so if I click on Unit 1, you'll see now that we broke it down into week 1 and week 2. So if I click on week 1, now I see the learning sequence for week 1. Also, if the student clicks on content, it takes them directly into that the content area, like in Blackboard. So if I click content, you'll see that now it's a vertical, right? The vertical approach going up and down. But also remember that even though we didn't add anything to these buckets, Brightspace already put them in for us. So if I go into the assignment bucket, you will see that the assignment is there. If we go to the discussion bucket, you'll see that our discussion is already there. Tuesdays with Jose and Jeffrey. So the student can see the course from 2 perspectives, from the bucket perspective or from a learning sequence going from top to bottom. So if I click on Brightspace Instructor Basics, which is the first item in our learning sequence, this is the PDF that we uploaded, right? So you can scroll down, right? You can see the document that we uploaded. Once the student is done with the document, they can click on the right arrow and move on to the next item. And this is then our discussion, right? So here we go, start a new thread. And now we can type in our discussion, J and J. And then the student can subscribe to the thread. So if there are any replies to this thread, the student will get notified, right? And then we post our comment. And then we move on to the next item in the learning sequence. And this is the video that we posted, right? So here you can see we brought this in from YouTube, and the students can watch by clicking on play.
Awesome. Thank you.
Captions are right here. They can turn on the captions. And notice that as the student moves from item to item on the learning sequence, Brightspace puts a check and it says you have viewed this topic. So as you progress through the course, as you progress through the learning sequence, Brightspace is checking off all the items that you are taking that you're doing on the course. Here is the quiz that we created. Right, so students can then take the quiz from right here. We move on to the next item. I didn't make it visible, so remember we scheduled it for a future date, so that's why it wasn't, the start button wasn't available to them. So there we go. We covered the learning sequence, and at the end, Brightspace tells you, well, you did a good job. I mean, pretty good. You did 60% of the work. 3 of the 5 topics were complete. So I like this feature. I like that Brightspace is taking account of what the students are doing and letting them know what they did, what did they miss, and then you as a professor can always go into the class progress to see how the whole class is doing and how they're progressing through by going here in the class progress. But I'm not going to go into that. I think I'm going to stop there, Jeffrey. And if there are any questions, we can take questions from there. I haven't been looking at the chat, so I apologize.
I do have a question. May I?
I've been monitoring the chat and helping out along the way, Jose. So you're up to date.
Thank you, Jeffrey. All right. I mean, we can open up for questions, Jeffrey. What do you think?
Sure.
I do have a question. May I? It's Stan.
Go ahead,
Sure.
Stan.
When we create an announcement, does this go directly to their email?
Oh, okay. Let's go there. So let's go to the announcement section.
You've given us a very detailed account of those people that are working online or working remotely, but many of us are using either Blackboard or Brightspace just to supplement our in-class learning.
Right.
All I want to do is to mass mail the students and send them some lesson plans.
Sure, sure. So let's go through that real quick. Creating an announcement. Let's go in here. Oh, again, also this is another thing to keep an eye out. I forgot to switch back to teacher mode, so I'm like wondering, hey, wait a second, I can't create announcements. So if you're stuck and you don't know what's going on, this happens quite a bit too on Blackboard. I remember those, Jeffrey?
Sure.
That you're stuck as a student, you're wondering, hey, I can't add any more content, because you have to then click on your personal menu. And this is a little bit, I don't know, this is a little different, but you have to click on this X to go back to teacher mode. So to exit out of learner, you have to click on this X.
Let me give Stan a simple answer, though, while you're doing that.
Sure.
Announcements do not email automatically to the students. However, if students set their notification to be notified immediately of an announcement, they will get it. And, and this is, Stan, maybe your preference to email your announcements. But I have a comment about that. Many people are making announcements that are too long. And so what happens is the student goes to their home page and attempts to see all their announcements. And if you have an announcement that's longer than 3 or 4 sentences, you are literally pushing all the other announcements down. So the idea is to use the announcements to link them to the content that they want to see, right, Jose?
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jeffrey,
yeah.
thank you so much for that. My point, what I want to do, as we were able to do in Blackboard, you can hear the frustration in my voice. I want to send out a mass email 2 weeks, a week before the semester begins.
Sure.
Welcome to our class DD122. Please find the syllabus attached. Look forward to seeing you in class.
Right.
So there's a text announcement and there is a PDF of the syllabus with live links on it, and it goes directly to their email. So I don't have to yell out the window, hey, everybody log on to Brightspace and find my message. I want it to go directly to their email. Can we still do that as we once did with Blackboard?
Yeah, you could email your entire class. That's not a problem. All I'm saying is I can
How?
see Marianne, for example, likes the idea of emailing her announcements. However, I will say to you that here's where you could email the entire class list.
Where does
And
that come from? The breadcrumb, where does the breadcrumb originate? Under
when
class
you go
list?
to class list, Stan, and when you click on Stan, Stan, when you click on class list, you'll see all the members of the class, along with the thumbnail of their picture, and then you have the option of downloading that class list or emailing the students there. It's a very convenient way to do things.
Right.
And so it's not an extra step, Marianne. When you're emailing them, you're just going to class list. In Blackboard, you would have to click on email. Then you would have to select all users or some groups. And here, it's just basically click on class list and click on send. But it's not part of the announcement.
Right.
And
Where's the upload? Where's the upload for PDF?
Oh, to attach?
Yeah, to attach.
right there.
Oh, down further, upload. Okay, got it.
Right. Right. You can upload from here, Stan. Also, you can record. Again, it allows you to do. But I like the fact that by default it made it BCC, and so that students are all BCC. From your roster list of who you selected, they all get BCC, and that's by default.
And everybody is included in there. Everybody that's in the class is included in that email, including the sender, and they're all blind carbon copy.
Blind carbon copy.
Now, there
Correct.
is a way to do it when the students subscribe to the announcement feed. So I'm going to put a link to that so you guys can look it over, okay?
My point is,
It's not just checking a box. You have to set it up in a way that works for them.
Stan, it also filtered by instructor, TAs, or students. So it also kind of, if you want only to, just see only your students from the roster list, then you see the students right here.
yeah, that's fine. Thank you. The point is,
Sorry.
I want to send out an email, goes directly to their email with the attachment.
Well, that's how you do it.
So that, yeah, thank you so much. That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. I apologize. Thank you for being patient because, we had a lot to cover. And I hope.
But to reiterate that, you cannot do it at the same time as you can do the announcement. It is a separate feature.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's something, Patricia, that I think we're losing, right, Jeffrey? Because in Blackboard, we were able to create announcements that then we check the box that it would also send it to the email. And I don't see that in Brightspace, not yet. But again, this is too early. It's a little too early for us as we're still learning this new system. Jeffrey and I are going to have to dig in, go into the weeds and see what what's in there for us. But as of right now, I didn't see that feature that if you do an announcement, you check a box and it also sends out an email.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia.
I recommend that you always stay with one modality 100% of the time. and that, for instance, in Canvas, there's a similar issue that you cannot email an announcement. So what I do is I only use announcements for things that specifically pertain to a change of information. For instance, I'm not feeling well, I'll be out, or snow day, or something like that. But each week, and this is my preference, it's not required, but each week I send out a 1-paragraph email telling students what I expect them to be prepared for when they come to class. And I do that because it eliminates plausible deniability, even though I've gone through it before. I simply say, for the next class, bring your laptop, be prepared to discuss your assignments, and blah, 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 blah. And I tell them, I will email this every Friday before my Monday class, and it is your responsibility to read it. It's not my responsibility to ask you why you didn't. Either you did or you didn't, and frankly, there's an assessment for everything they do, right, Patricia?
Yes.
And I'll tell you one thing, if you told them that you're not going to be in next Monday via email or announcement, no one's going to show up.
Yeah,
Okay?
they get that one for sure. Yeah.
So, I sounded cranky when I said that part, but I am cranky.
Jeffrey, the idea of the announcements again is that from what Jose, what you just said, is that the student can turn that off.
Yes,
so is there
and
some
they
way
can turn
of
it
us?
on.
Yes, but is there some way of making that automatic? So that
You know what? We
they
need to
can't
find
get
out.
the deniability. That
We
I
need
didn't
to
get the
find out.
announcement.
We need to find out exactly what properties that Jose and I could manage in the local instance.
Yeah.
But
And
in the meantime, one of
frankly,
those things
gentlemen,
might be
okay.
Patricia, one of those things might be to change the notification default to
Right.
include notify me when an announcement comes out. And
But
that way
that's
everybody
mine.
will get notified.
That's
But then
mine or
if they don't
theirs?
want it, they can turn it off.
Yeah, but that means that then they have deniability. I didn't get it.
No. What I'm saying is I want to see if we can make it a default that
Okay.
in every course they automatically do get it. And if they choose to turn it off, it's a conscious action on their part, and then tough noogies.
But if there's some way of them not being able to turn it off, so they have to see an announcement.
I guess we're just coming from a different point of view here. I basically tell them that I don't give you anything, you earn it. And I don't say it in a nasty way, but I basically say it because, we tend to aim for the lower performing students in terms of our strategies. And we don't always spend as much time, helping the excellent students to excel even further.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what I learned in my student teaching. You got to teach to the worst and the best. And
well, you do, but you don't pander. You don't pander to the lowest if they're not choosing to perform. That's all I'm saying. It's not like it's not like the Save the Children Foundation, right? Where you're really trying to help people who are in dire need. They wouldn't have gotten into FIT if they didn't have a brain and the ability to learn.
Okay.
So.
But,
you said you were going to put some kind of link in, Jose?
Yeah, I will. I'm sorry, I got this, but don't quote me on the Save the Children thing. I'll get in trouble probably for that one.
Okay. I'll stop the recording now.